Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. Today I tasted the bitter taste of betrayal by the man I've loved since my high school years. I've spent the majority of my adult life believing in a simple, unshakable truth: Lucy and I were meant for each other. We had built a life together that seemed enviable on the outside, a charming house, a circle of friends we'd known since our teenage years, and a quiet understanding of each other's dreams and fears. But that facade shattered today. The day started innocuously enough. I was at a local cafe, sipping on a bitter espresso, trying to focus on a book, when Mike, a mutual friend from our high school days, dropped into the seat across from me. Mike always had a knack for stirring up trouble, but today, his words cut deeper than usual. "John, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I think Lucy's seeing someone else," he said, his eyes scanning my face for a reaction. I laughed it off initially. "Mike, come on, we're not teenagers anymore. Gossip is for the high school hallways." He leaned in, his voice lowering. "I'm serious, John. She's been spending a lot of time with her new assistant. Young guy, fresh out of college. Everyone at the office is talking about it." I felt a cold prickle of unease, but I shrugged it off. Lucy's always been a friendly boss. It's probably nothing. But doubt, once planted, is a noxious weed. It gnawed at me through the afternoon, growing stronger with each passing hour until, driven by a mix of suspicion and the desperate hope of proving Mike wrong, I decided to surprise Lucy by picking her up from work. As I parked across the street from her office building, the autumn sun was setting, casting long shadows over the bustling city. I scanned the exiting crowd for Lucy's familiar figure, but instead, my eyes locked onto a scene that felt like a physical blow. There, not 20 feet away, was Lucy. She was leaning into a sleek black car, laughing at something the driver, a much younger man, was saying. Then, she got into the passenger seat. The intimacy of her movements, her hand lingering on his arm, her head thrown back in laughter, filled me with a rage I hadn't known I was capable of. I ducked down in my seat, heart pounding, as the car pulled away from the curb. The image of Lucy, so carefree and close with someone else, was etched painfully into my mind. I sat there for what felt like an eternity, grappling with the sharp sting of humiliation and the cold, settling weight of betrayal. When I finally started my car, the engine's roar was nothing compared to the noise in my head. "I'll show her," I muttered to myself. "She thinks she can make a fool of me." The drive home was a blur. I was a man possessed, every thought bent on one thing: revenge. Lucy had ruined the sanctity of our marriage, and in turn, would ruin her fate. As I arrived home, the house was dark, Lucy still out with her young admirer. Walking through the empty rooms, I felt like a stranger in my own home. Everything felt tainted, every shared memory a lie. It was then I decided, no matter the cost, Lucy would pay for her betrayal. The plan began to take shape in my mind, clear and cold as ice. Tonight was just the beginning. The full extent of my revenge would unfold in the days to come, and I would not rest until I had succeeded in my mission. The stage was set. The players were in motion. And I, John, once a loving husband, now a betrayed avenger, was ready to rewrite our ending. The following morning dawned gray and heavy, a mirror to the turmoil in my heart. Lucy returned late last night, her footsteps light and cautious, perhaps sensing the seismic shift in our once stable life. I had pretended to be asleep, my back turned to her silent apologies. Today, I'm not just a spectator to my own heartbreak, I'm an architect of retribution. The first person I think of is Sarah, a friend who once confided her own suspicions about Lucy's fidelity years ago. I find Sarah at our usual cafe, her sharp eyes missing nothing as she stirs her coffee. "John, you look like hell," she says without preamble. "I feel like it too," I admit, sliding into the booth opposite her. "I need your help, Sarah." Her eyebrows raise, a silent invitation to continue. Lucy's cheating on me. I saw her yesterday with some guy from her work. I want to make her regret it, I say, my voice low but fierce. Sarah's expression hardens. Are you sure about this, John? Revenge can be a messy business. I've never been more certain of anything, I reply, the resolve in my tone brooking no argument. All right. What do you need from me? Her loyalty, unquestioning and swift, fortifies my resolve. I need information. Anything that can give me leverage. My request hangs between us, heavy with unspoken consequences. Sarah nods, understanding the assignment. I have a few contacts who might know something. Let me see what I can dig up. As we part ways, my phone vibrates. It's Mike, the bearer of yesterday's bad news. John, we need to talk. Meet me at O'Malley's pub. I think you should know the whole story. The pub is dim and smells of old wood and spilt beer, a fitting backdrop for conspiratorial whispers. Mike is already there, a pint of dark ale in front of him. John, before you do anything drastic, you should know, Lucy wasn't the first to stray, he begins, and I stiffen. What are you talking about? It's been going on for a while, mate. Not just Lucy, but her boss, Mr. Andrews. There's a whole circle of them. It's like some sort of sick game to them. Mike's face is grave. The plot thickens, and a plan begins to crystallize. If Lucy's infidelity is part of a larger network, exposing this could be the key to my revenge. I need proof, I say, a new edge to my voice. Mike slides a small USB drive across the table. Security footage from their office parties. It's all there. Just, be sure you want to go down this road, John. With the drive burning a hole in my pocket, I leave the pub with a grim smile. The game has changed, and with these new allies and this new information, I prepare to strike at the heart of the deceit that marred my life. The stage is set for a scandal, but first, I need to see what's on this drive. As I head home, the weight of the small piece of plastic is a reminder of the heavy cost of truth and revenge. I am ready to pay it, for justice and for my own shattered peace. As night falls, I sit alone in the dim light of my home office, the USB drive Mike gave me plugged into my computer. The folder opens, revealing a list of video files, each labeled with a date. My hand hovers over the mouse, my heart racing with a mix of dread and determination. With a deep breath, I click on the most recent file. The video starts, showing a plush conference room transformed for a party. I scan the faces, searching for Lucy. There she is, laughing, her arm looped through that of a man who must be her boss, Mr. Andrews. The atmosphere is charged, too intimate for a simple office party. As I watch, the pit in my stomach grows, the betrayal cuts deeper than I imagined. The doorbell rings, snapping me out of my dark reverie. It's Sarah, clutching a manila envelope. I got something you might want to see, she says, her voice a mix of anger and sympathy. She hands me the envelope. Inside are printed emails between Lucy and her assistant. The words, tender and intimate, fan the flames of my fury. Thanks, Sarah. This is more than enough, I manage to say, my voice thick. Sarah sits down, her eyes serious. What's your plan, John? Exposing them? Exactly, I reply, my resolve hardening. I want everyone to know the truth. Can you help me put this all together? We could go to the press. She nods, efficient as ever. Let's do it. But be prepared for the fallout. This will get messy. Together, we compile the evidence, organizing the emails and video clips into a coherent narrative. Every piece slots into place, a mosaic of deceit. The next morning, armed with our dossier, Sarah and I meet with a contact of hers at a local news station. The journalist, a sharp-eyed woman named Rita, reviews our material with a growing sense of excitement. "This is explosive," Rita says, looking up from the documents. "Are you sure you're ready for the consequences of this going public?" "I've never been more certain," I affirm, the bitter taste of betrayal still fresh. Rita nods, her expression turning professional. "We'll need to verify everything, but we can have this story running by the weekend." Sarah squeezes my arm, a silent show of support. As we leave the station, my phone buzzes. It's Lucy, her tone frantic. "John, where are you? We need to talk. Please, come home." I ignore her call, the screen of my phone blurring as I turn it off. There's no turning back now. As the day progresses, the weight of my impending actions bears down on me. By evening, the story is set to air. I watch the clock, each tick a step closer to the moment of truth. Finally, the news hour arrives. Rita appears on the screen, her presence commanding as she introduces the story. The footage rolls, the emails flash on the screen, and the intimate scenes from the party fill the living rooms of thousands. I sit back, a hollow victory settling in my chest. Lucy's deceit is now public, her reputation in ruins. But as the screen shows her laughing in another man's arms, I can't help but wonder if the price of this revenge was too high. The phone rings again. It's Lucy, no doubt having seen her secrets laid bare. I let it ring, the sound echoing in the empty house. The game is over, but at what cost? I am left to ponder the ruins of a marriage and the depths of my own vengeance. The aftermath of the broadcast is a silence that feels like the calm before the storm. My phone, now switched back on, erupts with notifications, messages from old friends, acquaintances, and even strangers, each one a reminder of the chaos I have unleashed. Lucy finally comes home, her face pale and drawn, the usual vibrancy of her eyes dimmed by betrayal and public shame. She stands in the doorway of our living room, where I sit waiting, the television muted in the background showing the ongoing fallout of the news story. "John, why didn't you just confront me?" Her voice is a whisper, a mix of sorrow and resignation. "You wouldn't have told me the truth, Lucy. I needed to see it for myself." My response is cold, detached, yet inside, my heart is warring with anger and a lingering sorrow. Lucy takes a hesitant step forward, her hands trembling slightly. "John, there's something you don't know." I raise an eyebrow, skeptical. "What could possibly justify what you've done?" "It's not a justification," she begins slowly, taking a deep breath. "The young man, Tom, he's your son, John." The room spins, and I feel as if the floor has dropped from beneath me. "What are you talking about? That's impossible. 20 years ago, before we were married, I was pregnant. You were away at college, and I didn't want to burden you. I gave him up for adoption. He came back to find me, his birth mother, just a few months ago." Her eyes flood with tears. The revelation hits me harder than any deceit. My anger, now mixed with a profound confusion, leaves me grappling for words. "And you didn't think to tell me?" "I was going to," Lucy pleads. "But I didn't know how." Then everything spiraled out of control. The room is thick with tension, each revelation adding layers of complexity I hadn't anticipated. I stand, needing to pace, to move, my mind racing to process the information. And the rest? The affair? It was never an affair, John. It was just meetings, catching up, getting to know him. The videos, the emails, they were all misconstrued. Tom was helping me cope with the guilt of giving him up, the joy of finding him again. I was scared of how you'd react. The sound of the doorbell interrupts our confrontation. It's Sarah, wide-eyed and anxious. "John, the news station, they've started getting backlash about the story. There are questions about the validity of the claims, threats of lawsuits for defamation." The world I thought I knew, the revenge I thought was justified, all begins to crumble around me. Lucy, why didn't you trust me to understand? The question is more to myself than to her. I should have, she admits, her voice breaking. I was just so afraid of losing you both. I glance at Sarah, then back at Lucy. I need to fix this. The next few days are a blur of apologies, of retractions made by the news station, of quiet, painful discussions with Lucy and meetings with Tom, who looks so much like me it's uncanny. The public's eye is critical and unforgiving, but as the truth unfolds, the narrative shifts from scandal to a story of a family trying to mend its fractures. Lucy and I attend counseling, trying to bridge the gap that years of secrets and a devastating revelation have created. Tom, hesitant at first, joins us in these sessions, learning the history of his parents' youthful love, their mistakes, and their attempts to start anew. Months later, the dust has settled. Lucy and I are not the same couple we once were, we are something new, something cautiously hopeful. Tom is a regular presence in our lives, his existence a reminder of the past's impact on the present. As I watch Lucy and Tom discussing something animatedly in the kitchen, laughter echoing through the room, I realize that while the path to this moment was fraught with pain and deception, it has also been a journey back to a truth that, though once buried, was always meant to come to light. In the wreckage of my revenge, a new understanding has been born, not just of my wife and my son, but of myself and the power of forgiveness.